This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along. So, Raw this week, I thought was decent. Awesome to see Dakota Kai back with Damage Control and the Women's Survivor Series match taking shape. And I know that next week's Raw has already been recorded and I accidentally saw something as a spoiler, so I won't say what it is in case there's anyone who didn't see it. But it looks good. I thought the Karrion Kross and the Miz segment was clever. Certainly sold it to me. I'm pleased. I much prefer a heel Miz. And the New Day stuff. Xavier Woods definitely turning heel on Kofi, but will Big E manage to save the day? Do we even know if Big E's fit enough to come back? Who knows? I'm beyond bored with the Jade and Bianca as tag team champs. The sooner they drop the belts and move their separate ways, the better. But we aren't here to review Raw. This is the SmackDown review, so let's get to it. This week's show came from Milwaukee. And as we start tonight, Cole reminds us that they're calling it Championship Night. And we see Naomi and Nia arriving earlier in the day. And they have a match tonight for the title. And then we have the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits arriving, and they as well have a title match tonight. And Cole says we're going to get some more information about the women's US title tonight as well. So already shaping up very nicely. So first up and out tonight we have Cody to a massive pop as always. Bear in mind that we only saw him last week going to hospital with Randy. So we haven't had much Cody in the last week. And the first thing you notice is that he's not in his suit tonight. Looks like he's in training gear. So that obviously tells us that maybe he's ready for trouble. And on his way to the ring, he certainly isn't his normal smiling politician-y self. He just looks all business and he grabs the mic. I think that might be his quickest entrance ever. And I didn't mind it at all. It's quite nice for him to come down quickly and just get started. Even Corey mentions that Cody's been a bit down in the mouth. And we get a replay of the pile driver from last week. And we're told that Randy is out indefinitely. Cody starts off straight away by telling KO that he's crossed the line. And he knows he is back there. And asks him what I thought was ever so politely to come out to the ring. He asks again, a little bit less politely, and instead of KO, we get Nick Aldis, or Oblivion the Gladiator, as we know him. He says that he knows Cody is angry, and Nick's also angry. He has Randy, one of the greats, out indefinitely with damage to his spine after being out for 18 months having spinal surgery, etc. for fused spine. Nick says that KO used a pile driver, a move that has been banned by WWE because we didn't want this generation to end up in wheelchairs in 20 years' time. Nick says Kevin crossed the line, and until it's figured out, he can't have KO on the show. Cody says to Nick that he's making a martyr of KO, and that's what KO wants. Cody pleads with Nick to let him handle it. Nick interrupts and said this isn't about money. This is about the roster knowing that he knows that you can't give them an inch because they'll take a mile. He reiterates that KO can't be here until this is resolved internally. And Cody says he knows that Nick is still a wrestler under the suit. We also know that he's a gladiator. Cody says Mania 40 was the highlight of his life because it was where Randy told him that he was proud of him. And he says he can't accept this situation, as KO is telling anyone who will listen that somehow this is Cody's fault. He asks Nick that does he want him to go round to KO's house and beat him up on his drive, etc., etc. He leaves the ball in Nick's court and exits the ring. So I thought this was a nice, interesting segment to start off with. By that I mean that usually we'd get Cody getting into the ring, he'd call out KO, KO would come out, maybe or maybe not speak, they'd face off, and there'd be a pull-apart brawl, and we would repeat this for the next couple of weeks with each of them getting the upper hand on the other until Nick Aldis finally makes a match. But this is different. I like it. And let's be honest, it's way more believable. I mean, if I dropped one of my colleagues on their heads and put them in hospital, I probably would be suspended for a bit. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I think about doing just that, and it would be totally worth it. But no, seriously. I like this angle. Nick Aldis is doing a great job. I think he does have the gravitas to pull off the GM role. So I say bring it on. Let's see how this plays out. So we then go backstage and we see Jimmy walk in. He's on the phone. He bumps into Jay and Sammy. They're all wearing the OG Bloodline t-shirts, which is adorable. He says that was the OTC. On the phone, he's on his way. He'll be here soon, which is good news. More Roman on the TV. So we're seeing him quite a lot, which is good. He says Roman wants them all to go over the plate for War Games, and Jay says that they still need a fifth member. Sammy says he thinks there is still someone he could ask, and off he toddles. Back to the ring, and we get tonight's first match, and we have Bayley out to a good reaction, which is good. And this is the first round triple threat match for the Women's US title competition. She will be up against Candice LeRae and B-Fab. Now that's interesting. B-Fab. Okay, let's see. So back from the break, and Candice comes out to a not too bad reaction, to be fair, and then B-Fab. And to be honest, the crowd seemed as surprised to see her in a match as I was, and are, let's say, muted. Have we seen B-Fab in a match recently? Stroke ever? I don't recall. But again, I haven't got the greatest memory. I certainly haven't seen her recently, let's just say that. Even Corey says then that B-Fab is a wild card. Apparently, she's been chomping at the bit to show what she can do. Alright then, let's see what she can do. So, we kick off, and Candice goes straight for Bayley, and we're reminded again of their history. Now we got B-Fab in with Candice, and to be fair to her, she pulls off some good moves, getting the upper hand early on Candice, and even managing to get a couple of quick covers in. Bayley comes back in it and goes for B-Fab, who manages to take out both Candice and Bayley with a double clothesline. And as we come back from the break, we have Bayley coming off the top with a flying elbow on B-Fab. But the subsequent cover is broken up by Candice. And all three women now back in the ring, basically punching each other. No one has the upper hand. Eventually all three go down. Candice hits double knees on Bayley and takes out B-Fab. She tries a cover on both, but gets no luck. And Candice now up to the top, but is caught by Bayley. And then now B-Fab, who comes in underneath for a power slam on the other two women. Candice falls fortuitously right across Bayley. And the ref starts to count straight away. Gets a 2 count, which is broken up by B-Fab. And honestly, Candice almost nicked it there. I actually thought that was where it was going to be, because the ref started counting so quickly after that happened. And normally there would be a second or a couple of seconds delay. Candice now beaten down on B-Fab, but eventually is caught by B-Fab, who drops her for a 2 count. And Cole says, which understatement of the night, you have to believe that would have been a mild upset there. Yeah, thanks Sherlock. Mild upset is an understatement. From nowhere, B-Fab wins. No, I don't think so. Bayley now back in and hits B-Fab. There's an inverted neck breaker, and again a 2 count cover on Bayley. Bayley hits Bayley to belly on B-Fab, and Candice tries to sneak a pin, but it's reversed by B-Fab, who gets another 2 count. Candice with a kick to the face on B-Fab. Bayley back in, quickly dispatches Candice to the outside. B-Fab with a slam on Bayley and goes for the pin, but again Candice interrupts. Bayley counters the big kick off B-Fab and rolls her up for the 3 count and the win, and Bayley advances in this new US title women's picture. Out of the 3 here on show, that definitely feels like the right result. B-Fab put up a good showing, and Candice, we know, can go and made a good account of herself as well. It was a good match, if not a little fragmented and slightly stalling in places. B-Fab has some moves, that's for sure. Let's see what the remaining triple threat brackets are. My early pick would be Chelsea, and the comms team told us that this will be decided in December at a main event on a Saturday night. I'm not sure how we can watch that here in the UK. I will investigate. Maybe we have to watch it on YouTube or something. But it's not something we normally get. We used to back in the day, but we don't get it here on the telly now. And then after that, they put up the brackets for the rest of the tournament. So the brackets are Bianca versus Chelsea versus Blair. And then we've got Jade versus Michin versus Piper. And then we've got Naomi versus Tiffy versus Elektra Lopez. So they're the remaining 3 brackets. So it looks like there's a couple of tag teams in the mix to, I guess, to sort of will they, won't they. I hope they don't give the win to Bianca and Jade respectively, so they end up in a fight. I think that means that some really deserving talent, for example, Chelsea, Blair, Michin, Piper, won't get a good chance. So I hope that Trips does the right thing with these brackets and gives some of this upcoming talent who haven't held any titles. Would be perfect for any of those 3, really, or Bayley. Anyway, I'm excited for this new title and how it's shaping up. Hopefully, once it is awarded, it'll be well booked. We now get Sammy backstage talking to LA Knight, and I'm thinking, is that his plan for the 5th man? Why? It doesn't seem at all likely, and their body language looks like it was a no, although we didn't hear. Now, I heard a couple of emails on the excellent mailbag show that Matt does this week, and they had both suggested that the 5th man could be Brock Lesnar. Now, at first, I was like, no, that's ridiculous. But then hang on, have a think about it. We know Brock is ready in the wings, and he has been for some time, and I know there's been some issues with this like sexual harassment case and all that that's going on with Vince, but I think that possibly his part of that might be resolved now, as in Brock's part, not Vince's part. So we know he's ready in the wings, and once Heyman comes back to the OG bloodline, which I'm assuming is imminent, he could easily bring Brock back in. And why? Well, I think Brock just likes to hurt people, and he's loyal to Heyman, and that's your story, I guess. It certainly seems like it's not going to be Cody because he's well wrapped up in the KO angle. So anyway, I digress. We weren't talking about that. So LA Knight is en route to the ring, as he has made an open challenge to the US title. Before that, we are backstage with the Street Profits and B-Fab, and they're commiserating with her for her non-success in the triple threat match. Piper and Chelsea come up to her, and Chelsea calls her B-Flop, which is hilarious. And she says, did you really think you were going to win? And that when they win the US title, they will let her hold it. B-Fab points out that only one of them can win, and what will they do if they get to the finals? At that point, Michin arrives with, again, another slightly moderated new look, which I'm loving. She also has a kendo stick and asks if there's a problem. So I guess that could be a future angle for these 4 as well. Now out comes LA Knight to the ring to his usual massive pop, and the bell rings, so presumably we've got an open challenge. He has the mic and he tells us that he's been around the world and defended the US title. He says that he's made such a big name for himself, basically, that Sammy asked him to join the OG Bloodline. And he says that's not his fight, so that's that. If the whole bloodline is destroyed itself, that would be just fine. So there's our answer. It ain't going to be LA Knight, which is no surprise. It was a strange thing to even suggest, really. He says it ain't the Logan Paul show. He's here defending his title. And this is the LA Knight US title open challenge. At that point, out comes Legado del Fantasma. Santos takes the mic and says, why can't LA Knight say something cool or interesting? Milwaukee boos. He's still trying to get that Escobar C thing over, and it's still not over. He says it's time someone shut him up. LA Knight stops him and says that he can feel Berto staring a hole in his head. And Santos has had his opportunity and got beat, but he will give Berto a chance. So that is the match. It's going to be LA Knight versus Berto. So the match starts, and we have Berto with the upper hand, and he hits a massive missile drop kick off the top and gets a quick 2 count, and has Knight in an abdominal stretch, trying to slow things down, but Knight fights out, knocking Berto over the top and following him to the outside, where he bounces Berto's head off the announce table right in front of Legado del Fantasma. We then get a DDT from Knight, followed by a cover for a 2 count. Berto with a quick roll up, followed by a springboard kick and another 2 count. And then Berto goes up top for a moonsault, which Knight counters with his legs and follows up with a pop-up slam. Knight is now in trouble in the corner. Berto going off the top, but Knight delivers a headbutt and a massive elbow from the top, followed by a BFT, and it's all over. Knight retains the US title. A good match. LA Knight, as always, brilliant, but Berto was a surprise. He has some great skills, and comms team told us during the match this is his first ever singles titles opportunity, and he made a really good account of himself. He was a very worthy challenger in the end. Knight is celebrating his win and is attacked by someone wearing a cloak. At first I couldn't see who it was, but now I can see it's Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah, Shinsuke is back, yay! And he is giving the beatdown to LA Knight, and he looks like he has a new look, and it's really badass. He looks like a kind of a ninja. It's really cool. I was about to wonder who was next for Knight, but I guess now that's obvious, and I'm totally here for that. How exciting. Shin is back, which is fantastic. We now go backstage to the Usos. Jay is saying they are in trouble. They have no fifth man, and they go into Roman's star dressing room to see him. We see the Usos and Sammy in there, but there's no Roman, and then Roman appears. Sammy starts telling Roman they don't have a fifth guy. We hear Solo's music hit, and we see the OG Bloodline watch on the TV as the new Bloodline make their way to the ring. New Bloodline are then in the ring, getting pretty much booed out of the place. Solo asks Milwaukee to acknowledge him, and predictably they don't. Before anything else happens, we get Roman's music hit, and the OG Bloodline come out. They make their way to the ring, and a brawl breaks out. Jey Uso takes out the Tongans. Jacob Fatu piles in on Roman. Solo goes to spike Sammy, but Roman spears him, so that's good. I guess those two are friends again. We now have Roman and Jacob Fatu in the ring, and the crowd are cheering for the OTC. And then, literally out of nowhere, we get Bronson Reed attacks Roman from behind and absolutely smashes him in the corner, which is then followed up by Jacob Fatu doing exactly the same thing. The Usos and Sammy back in, trying to fight off the new Bloodline, but they are outnumbered as the new bloodline basically destroy everyone. And oh no, it looks like the fifth man on the OG side will now beat Seth by process of elimination. Roman Superman punches Reed and Fatu, but Solo hits him with a spike. Finally, out come some officials and refs to break it up, but Reed Tsunumi's Roman. What the hell? Why would Bronson Reed associate with the new bloodline? Doesn't make huge sense, does it? Or have I missed something? Right, so I'm thinking I'll probably cancel my earlier Brock prediction, and it looks like it will be Seth, which, I don't really like it. Doesn't make much sense to me. It kind of feels like just shoehorning two people into the story that have got a story anyway at the moment. Anyway, we maybe circle back to that one at the end. We then get a video from KO that Cole tells us he's just posted onto his social media channels. He says that he showed up at the arena tonight and was turned away on the grounds of what he did to Randy last week. He says what he did to Randy last week was his job. He says he is in trouble because he did his job. And he says he just had a call from Nick Aldis telling him to be at next week's SmackDown because Cody wants him there. This seems to send KO over the edge, and he starts yelling about Cody being a golden boy. He says he shouldn't show up, but he will for himself. But he says he needs everyone to remember that when he shows up next week, he is doing what they want and he is doing his job. So wow, that's set up nicely for next week. I'm guessing this is KO seriously losing it. Maybe he gets his hands on Cody and gets the upper hand next week. Let's see. But I'm here for it. It's good storytelling. We now have the tag team title match. This is Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits. Machine Guns pleasingly seem to get a decent reaction from the crowd tonight, so I think the WWE Universe are warming up to these guys, and so they should. They're very good. We kick off with Ford and Sabin in the ring, and in comms, this was interesting, we actually get a reference to Bobby Lashley leaving the company to do his own thing. That's new. Normally, when you leave WWE, that's it. You'd head to them. But there was a definite and very open reference to Bobby leaving tonight, which is great. Now, these two teams are very well matched in the early stages. Some great moves from Sabin and an early tag leading to one of their, what I'm starting to realise is their patented double team moves ending in a basement drop kick and a cover. As Shelley is in with Ford with a big clothesline which takes out Shelley. Dawkins on the outside launches Shelley. Literally launches him, picks him up and throws him towards the announce table, which is quite phenomenal. We go for a break at that point. As we get back from the break, Shelley gets the tag to Sabin and he takes out Dawkins on the outside. Follows up by chucking Ford over the top two. Motor City Machine Guns firmly in charge now. Tag made. And another brilliant move from the Machine Guns lead to a close 2 count. And the slow-mo on the drop kick into the flatliner was absolutely awesome. Really beautiful stuff. Another tag by the Machine Guns and Ford getting absolutely whooped. Dawkins tags in and gets a quick cover. Ford is now tagged back in and a double team move from the Profits. But before it can be completed, we have Tommaso Ciampa from nowhere with the interference, resulting in the bell being rung. And Ciampa then starting to beat down the Profits. At this point, Johnny is nowhere in sight. And the Motor City Machine Guns wise up to what's going on, try and help. And now Johnny appears, trying to calm down Ciampa, who shoves Johnny to the mat. And Ciampa's descent into full heel mode continues. Afterwards, Shelley tries to apologise to Dawkins, who's having none of it, and wallops him. And then the Profits drop off. Now I'm thinking there's one or two things going to happen here. We may be getting a triple threat for the tag titles, if DIY can stay together that long. If not, I guess we're getting singles runs for Johnny and Ciampa, maybe even a feud with each other. And as I said, I've seen that before on NXT with these guys, and it was excellent. So either or, those two things would be great. Now we move on to the main event for tonight. Naomi versus Nia Jax in a title match. Now this could be interesting. What role will Candice play and Tiffy? Who knows? Before we get out there, we get a shot of Bayley and Naomi backstage hyping each other up. And then of course we get Jade and Bianca sticking their noses in, saying they have Naomi's back tonight. Before the match, we get some hype for next week's show. Reminder of the US title women's tournament and the face-to-face between Cody and KO. We have the entrances of Naomi and Nia. Neither were particularly overwhelming. As we kick off, Naomi bursts out of the corner, but Nia overpowers early on, flings Naomi across the ring, and then squishes her in the corner. She misses the elbow and Naomi starts to mount a fight back, getting a couple of near falls. Nia coming back, ejects Naomi from the ring, and she is hit by a huge clothesline and gets a 2 count. Nia has Naomi in a headlock, but Naomi manages to fight her way up, gets in some offense, but again is smashed by Nia. Nia with a quite amazing pop-up headbutt, which was quite an impressive move. If you get a chance to go and have a look at that one again, do. Naomi recovers and drops Nia over the second rope, follows it up with a suicide dive, and Naomi is on top at last as we go for the break. As we come back though, most annoying thing in the world has happened. Things have changed and we don't know why. Nia is back in charge. Again, she hits a headbutt, but this time to Naomi's spine. And Nia tries to slam Naomi, but Naomi hits Code Red and tries for a cover. Naomi hits a crossbody from the top, followed by an enziguri and a rear view, and gets a super close call. Nia then hits a pop-up Samoan drop and sets her up for the Annihilator, but is pushed from the top by Naomi, who hits her from the top to the outside. We then go backstage and see Liv and Raquel attacking Bianca and Jade, and they're left laying on the floor, Liv and Raquel laughing. And then Naomi gets Nia back into the ring, and then we get Tiffany's involvement as she attacks Naomi on the outside, and now Naomi and Nia again sets her up for the Annihilator. Naomi has Nia on the top, which Naomi somehow reverses and gets a super close 2 count. And Naomi hits a split leg moonsault for another close 2 count. And then we get Bayley out, evening the odds and taking out Tiffany. Naomi is now up top, but out comes Candice to take out Bayley, which distracts Naomi. We then get Nia hitting the Samoan drop, followed by the Annihilator, and Nia retains. So Naomi, as always, was excellent in this match. Honestly, it took 3 of them, plus Liv and Raquel backstage, to get that win, and Nia is still champ. I'm interested to see where Nia's run goes next and who she feuds with. I do still think Tiffy is going to cash in on her at some point, leaving Nia with Candice as her lackey. I don't think there is much more mileage in the Naomi-Nia feud, and similarly Bayley's obviously moved on to the US title picture, so that's clearly done. So we have to see what's next for Nia Jax. I'm not a massive fan of Nia, I never have been. This run is probably one of her better runs with the company. She certainly seems to be less botchy and less of a liability than she used to be, so credit where credit's due. But still, she is very much just a one-trick pony. Anyway, we'll see where that one goes and who is next. So then As we start to close out the show, we go backstage and we see Roman looking quite sorry for himself. And he picks up his phone and painfully slowly says, "Call the wise man." But he gets a number not in service message, which is good. So this storyline is progressing. At least we know that Roman wants the wise man back, and I'm sure that he can use all his smarts and all his contacts and somehow reach out to the wise man. So that's good progression. So I thought this was another excellent show this week. I'm really enjoying all the angles and all the storylines. I have zero complaints. I mean, I guess I don't totally understand the Bronson Reed thing, except I suppose he is an absolute weapon. And why wouldn't the new bloodline want him? So if we get Seth as the OG's fifth man, will it be a Shield bloodline crossover? That would be cool. Or do we still get Brock? And do we have Brock Bronson? And then that means that after the Bloodline versus Bloodline feud is over, we can have Brock Bronson. But then where does the Seth Bronson feud go? Many, many questions. But at least we got faith in Trips that he's going to make this all alright for us. Hey guys, so that just about does it for this week's show. As always, thank you for having me in your ears. And until next time, please remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.